Today in the crypto space, we see the market coming down. Bitcoin at about 40,000, down approximately 7.5%. Ethereum right around that $2,000 level, down approximately 7.5% as well. The rest of the crypto space, the altcoins are dipping down following Bitcoin and Ethereum's lead. Of course, there's some fire sales to be had. However, guys, the question is this the beginning? Is this a beginning of a continuation to the downside? In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I'm going to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but more importantly, I want to talk about Bitcoin. I just want to talk about Bitcoin today because I believe that ultimately a lot of us are in a bit of a fearish mode where we see a further continuation to the downside, and we need to be prepared for any of that price action that is yet to come. So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins. We look for opportunities, whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of this market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click that bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 7:30 Eastern, where we talk about crypto, news, and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the chat. Hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description below. And of course, feel free to join that Discord. The Discord is a great community. Lots of good alpha, trade setup, fundamentals, and learning material. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on here. Of course, there's a little bit of fear beginning to unfold here in the market, but really, I think that it's just a bit too early to be fearful. The reality is Bitcoin is not really hitting any real areas of major interest. You know, the reality is staying above 40K is actually really bullish. You know, it's a nice psychological number. I think that $40,000 level is definitely going to potentially hold up here for a nice little bounce. Whether we get a bounce and then start getting to a higher high, soon we'll see. But ultimately, to see an aggressive dip not break down, you know, through horizontal support, really, it doesn't mean much. We're still within a structure, and that's what really is what I want to focus on today, is looking at Bitcoin's structure. If we were breaking structure and changing the structure of the current momentum to the upside, I would be more in concern. Right now, it could be that we are just building structure. And as long as we stay within this zone and build our structure, we can start coming up with a thesis. The thesis right now is very vague. It could be that we're just getting a little bit of a retracement and then a continuation, or maybe we start going sideways for the next little while. And without more data, it's hard really to say if Bitcoin is going to be coming down. So we're going to be looking at the probabilities. We're going to be looking at the data so that we can, you know, produce some sort of thesis here of what it could be around the corner with regards to price action. Bitcoin, of course, being the leading indicator, could give us that indication of what's going to come around the corner with regards to altcoins. And of course, altcoins are a lot more volatile. So we definitely have to keep an eye on that. There's one thing that kind of bothers me. There's a slight depeg here on USDC. I'm not sure if this little price action here is giving me full details, but you can kind of see it's kind of dipping down here. Not a good sign. I don't like depegs, but they usually come right back. Okay, so we got to keep an eye on that. USDT is still pegged pretty good, so there's no issue there. However, we do see Bitcoin coming down. We do see Ethereum coming down. We do see a lot of the altcoins coming down to those lower levels. Solana got a bit of a retracement, nothing severe. And, you know, the list goes on. We have Dogecoin coming down a little bit. AVAX barely flinched. AVAX is looking really bullish. And we have other dips, other retracements throughout the market, about 10%. I would say give or take 5 to 10% is what you would expect here, you know, as you keep on coming down. But you also have to consider the fact that this market has been up significantly. A lot of these coins, that even the top 100, have been upwards of 50% or more. So the reality is a 10% dip is nothing. It's nothing to be really concerned with, right? Double digit up, double digit dips, these are normal. So if we've been up significantly in the last little while, what type of retracement should we at least prepare for? I would say at least 30% of that run up could be absorbed or could be a part of the dip, but it isn't. We're only down approximately 10% today. So we just got to really, be careful here with getting too emotional with this volatility, because it could have just been a little bit of a dip before we continue to the upside. Now, where Bitcoin got its rejection is very strategic as well. It could be induced by, one whale, which I believe the data, the on-chain metrics is showing us that there's one individual that caused this crash and caused the fear and how it trickled down into the altcoin market. So we're going to be paying attention to those numbers very, very soon as they kind of get confirmed and so on. But nonetheless, we see this dip throughout the market. Should we be scaling into this? Obviously, any dips are great. Any dips are awesome. 10% on Caspa. You're talking about, good dips, 11% on your protocol, Filecoin. There's dips throughout the market, and there's projects that are still running. Look at Injective, 15% today. As the market's coming down, Injective continues going. So the reality is we should also have a short-term plan. In the short term, this price action could get a bounce and reclaim previous highs. But ultimately, if we do end up rolling over and do end up getting into a bearish stance, especially with regards to Bitcoin, I think the fire sale is going to be a lot more deeper. I think we're going to get into a real fire sale where we could probably get a 20-30% dip. And for me, that would be absolutely great. Absolutely a great opportunity to take full advantage of that opportunity to scale up my positions, to buy dips and buy into projects that maybe you haven't had the opportunity to get in from a great risk to reward ratio opportunity. So as you can see, 10% throughout the market, nothing really drastic. However, preparing for a continuation is probably key. What I do like to see is KuCoin. And when I see KuCoin looking good, it means that people are still trading. There's people getting in on that exchange, buying the KCS token just to kind of benefit from some of the basically the benefits that of a holder. So that's really good. Seeing maybe there's more traders getting involved here in the crypto space, so that's good. Phantom taking a bit of a dip, and we see a few little retracements for sure. Decentraland, Gala, there's a lot of dips, a lot of them. However, guys, I don't know if this is going to be short-lived. I feel like it may be slightly short-lived in the immediate short term, and then we need a confirmation. So let's jump right into the charts, guys. I know you're here to talk about price action. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. Of course, we're going to focus on Bitcoin in today's video. I think that it would be a great opportunity just to kind of study what is happening with this volatility. And at the end of the day, I don't feel like it's absolutely the end game. I think this right now is just a bit of a pullback, and then we can see some more data. We need to get a little bit more data here. So let's look at this in a little bit more detail. Ultimately, if you start zooming out, get a big picture, you can see that, we are still in that higher highs, higher low type of scenario. We did not break any structure on the daily. None whatsoever. We got a nice pullback. It could be the beginning of a bigger retracement, but not until perhaps another top. Maybe we start getting a double top. Remember, we always look for confirmations. Now, which confirmation do you have right now to suggest that this price action is going to be coming down much more? There is none, really. There is nothing really. It's a bit of a rejection right here. That's about it. You don't got a confirmation high. You don't have anything really to suggest it's done and it's going to come straight down right through. In fact, there's a lot of levels of support that we need to kind of get through before we get it absolutely bearish. If you follow, we did have a few tops here and a few tops holding up for support. Now, this diagonal definitely needs to be tested, and the price action in the zone needs to also be tested for support. If it holds up, great. If it doesn't, then we're going to deal with it then. But as of now, you can see that volume gap that we identified here on the channel really early, we went right through it. The market front run it a little bit. All good, and then it comes right back down, and it's still testing the bottom of the volume gap. So the reality is we could even go sideways in this range. We could go sideways within this volume gap, right around the 40K and 45K level, go sideways for the next little while, and back to business. Altcoins get their bounce, altcoins begin their rally, while Bitcoin kind of goes sideways. So ultimately, it's all about Bitcoin, and not a lot of people are expecting Bitcoin to come down significantly, and I'm one of them. I honestly honestly believe that even at this point, if we get down to about 25K, honestly, that would be a fire sale and a half. That I would be so bullish that I would be buying every single dip. I would be buying it all. However, guys, you know, if a lot of people are thinking that way, it's likely to not happen, and that's the reality. So I would be preparing for a little bit of something here. I would be preparing for a little bit more data. You can see that the volume, in fact, on the daily is not really registering anything significant, which means there's not much market participation into that dip. It might have been just one whale playing games, and that's the reality. You know, you want market participation to actually give you that indication that maybe a general consensus of the market is that the price is overvalued. And there's nothing really to suggest that, right? So does fear kick in and then cause the price to come down even further? Very, very possible. But as of now, we're looking for a lot of good levels of support. We have this cluster of supply and demand here to act as support. We have the trend line, the diagonal to act as support. And ultimately, before we even consider that, we also have a few EMAs on this daily to act as support. 20, the 50, the 200, right around that $31,000 and $33,000 level. Right around here is where I would expect to get our first major bounce if we actually got back into this ascending channel that we've been watching for the last little while. So this is the thing. This could have been just a fake out, come right back out, you know, get a bit of a rejection and then come back right back in. However, guys, there's a bit of work that still needs to be done in order to get right back in. So that's what I'm waiting for, guys, a little bit more data. Now let's look at the weekly for a second and see what's going on the weekly. And let's get our momentum oscillators out there and see what's going on. You can see that ultimately the weekly is getting a bit of a pullback here on the RSI. It is a lot more reactive in comparison to the MACD. And you can see it's pulling back. And it's absolutely healthy because we saw the purple line way overextended away from the yellow. So in the meantime, we could see a bit of a consolidation. We can see a bit of a reaction here to the upside or something while the yellow and the purples get together. We can have definitely some more bearish price action or even sideways price action in that matter, just to allow the yellow some time to catch up with the purple. And in the meantime, you know, we can come up with that plan. Ultimately, the MACD is still looking good. EMA is facing up, green histogram bars to the upside. It is a lagging indicator, so it will take some time to actually register the price action. But in the meantime, you know, we've seen open EMAs like this in the past, and they do take some time for them to actually get that cross. And in the meantime, as they're getting that cross, we could continue getting bullish momentum to the upside in the sense that we see the price making higher highs while the momentum on the MACD is kind of just hanging out there, right? So we got to be very patient here. I don't really feel like at this moment we should be reacting based on emotion. Ultimately, here on the weekly, you can see that this railroad track doesn't look the greatest. However, it's not really an engulfing candle yet, right? So that's the reality. We got to wait for some more data here. I'm looking for some support at the bottom of this volume gap right here at about 40K. For me, that would be an interesting level to see a little bit of a bounce, some consolidation or something like that. And if you get into higher time frames on the weekly, it starts to look like a big wick, right? Obviously. But look how bullish the monthly still looks, right? So big picture, I still feel like, you know, even a retracement down to about 30K is absolutely acceptable. But in the short term, we need a little bit more data. Even if we compare it to the previous rejection, look at all the up and down action we have. Remember, this is the monthly, and if you go look at the weekly, we got a little bit more data to kind of deal with before we got that rollover. You know what I mean? So are we going to come back down in a straight quick dip this way? I really doubt it. It happens though, but I doubt it. You know, at least some sort of data to give us an indication. So the weekly right now, it does look like it's trying to come down to lower levels momentum wise on the RSI, but a little bit of a confirmation high on the RSI is totally acceptable and giving the Bitcoin price an opportunity to bounce to slightly higher levels, or at least give us a confirmation high that we are actually rolling over. Not enough data. That's the consensus right now. Still not enough data. If we go back into the daily, just kind of make a connection here. The daily's coming down. Let's look at this mess for a second. Let's kind of clean this up. And you can see that we are slowly dipping down and we're getting into that chop zone and potentially getting some support on the chop zone. We've seen many altcoins do that, get support around this level and continue to the upside. We can even get a third drive of bearish divergence here, get a nice impulsive move up, see the price action come back up, and then finally roll over. Ultimately, I do see that Bitcoin should be rolling over but I'm not 100% convinced that it's going to happen right away because we didn't get enough price action to confirm that data, right? So if you go into the 4-hour, the 4-hour is completely oversold. This is where the magic happens right now, guys, is the oversold conditions on the 4-hour. We've been waiting for oversold conditions for a bit, and we finally got one here on the Bitcoin price at this level. So what does that mean? That means a short-term bounce to the upside is very, very possible, especially once we see signs of bullish divergence. Let's go look at the price action here on the 4-hour. And as you see, as I zoom in, things start to look a lot more messy, but that's the way it is, guys. Lower lows on the price action, that's fine. MACD is looking really bearish. EMAs are facing down, red histogram bars to the downside. And let's make this a bit bigger so we can kind of compare properly. And you can see that as the price action is coming down, we are getting into oversold conditions. Let's see what kind of support we get here on Bitcoin. If we start getting some sort of pattern here building, it's very likely that we come back up. Doesn't mean that we're going to make a higher high. It doesn't mean that we're even going to make a double top. All we really want here is a nice retracement to the upside. Give us a confirmation high, even if it's a lower high, that would be fine. And that would give us an opportunity to say, look, maybe this is the beginning of a change of structure where we make a lower high and start making lower lows and lower highs. Ultimately looking for a bigger dip to the downside. Remember, patterns on larger time frames take time to build. They don't happen overnight, right? So even though this dip did happen today, and I know there's a lot of negativity out there, I still feel a little bit of a bounce is very, very due to higher levels, and that would give us an opportunity to de-risk if you feel like you're overexposed at the current moment. If right now you are really, really fearful, that means you are overexposed, and at any moment that you have, de-risk, take some profit, trill up a stop loss, reduce your position size, so that way there's not much anxiety about holding a position given the bearish price action in the last little while. All right, guys, that's all I got for you today. If I've offered you any value in this video, do the channel a massive favor and of course slap the like button. I'm going to be live tonight at 7:30 Eastern talking about crypto news and price action. Of course, we can look at this in a little bit more detail. We can look at the Bitcoin dominance, we can look at Ethereum, we can look at any altcoins that you guys request. Of course, I'm taking requests tonight at 7:30 Eastern, so feel free to join. If you want to follow me on those socials, the links are in the description. And of course, feel free to join that Discord. That Discord is a great community, lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, learning material. Take care, guys. Have a good one, and don't forget, buy the dip.